How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.
What's going on, everyone? It's Preston. Welcome to 14P Fantasy, where today we'll be taking a look at some of the best running back values over on Underdog for their best ball drafts. But real quick, before we get started, feel free to hit that subscribe button below if you haven't already. And this is a series where I'll be running through all of the best ADP values at each position. I've already gone through quarterbacks so far. We'll have a link in the description below if you haven't checked that out already. And be sure to be on the lookout for the wide receiver and tight end edition as well. But with that said, let's go ahead and dive on into some running backs. And today we have Kareem Hunt, who's currently going as the RB32 over on Underdog, after finishing as the RB48 last year, which should have a little asterisk next to it because he was injured throughout the 2021 season. But through the first 6 weeks last year, Hunt was actually the RB8 overall in half PPR scoring. And over that same time span, Hunt was averaging 11.5 carries per game, 4.5 targets per game, good for 16 total touches per game. Pretty solid volume for someone who's their team's RB2. But we know what Hunt is. He's a good running back, and he's on a team that's been proven to have an efficient rushing attack, even with Baker Mayfield under center. But with Deshaun Watson potentially under center this year, we could see an even bigger increase overall in efficiency for this Cleveland rushing attack. And overall, Kareem Hunt has some pretty underrated standalone value, but he also has some upside handcuff value because we know if anything happens to Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt will also see a solid increase in work as well, boosting his overall upside. Next up, we have Kenneth Walker, rookie running back, who's currently being drafted as the RB28 overall. Now, Kenneth Walker is an interesting case right now, being a rookie. He obviously has his question marks with his receiving work, but I think overall he has plenty of upside as a guy who can potentially walk in day one and be a team's 1A running back. And kind of just for reference, Breece Hall is currently being drafted as the RB16 overall on Underdog. I think that discrepancy, that sort of difference between Walker and Hall's ADP is too large, really. I get that there's more upside with Hall and his proven receiving work, but still, the gap shouldn't be that large. And more importantly, I think that gap in where Walker is currently going just provides him overall with a bigger chance to pay off his ADP and rise in ADP even come the NFL draft. I think once he's drafted in the NFL draft, we're going to see an immediate uptick and increase in his ADP because of that landing spot. So now's the time to go ahead and draft Walker at this value at RB28 overall. And last up, we have Kenyan Drake, who's currently being drafted as the RB54 after finishing last year as the RB55. And like Hunt, Kenyan Drake also experienced a sort of injury-riddled season last year, but nonetheless, Kenyan Drake played in 11 games last year, and over those 11 games, he had at least 4 games with 5 or more targets in that game. Drake was signed to be a sort of receiving back for this Las Vegas offense, and he can do that well. He's arguably one of the best RB2s on an NFL team, right next to Hunt. He could very well be a starter for a team, but he's kind of stuck in this sort of role in Las Vegas, which is fine because he was still getting some decent volume last year, and he can provide us some decent spike weeks in best ball when you couple those, 5 target games with a few carries, and he winds up getting in the end zone. And overall, Hunt is the ideal sort of contingent back. And what I mean by contingent is that he has that standalone value that I was just talking about. He has the ability to enter our lineups in best ball on a given week, even when Josh Jacobs is out on the field, because he can catch five balls or have a couple of rushing opportunities, potentially get in the end zone. But in addition to that, if anything were to happen to Josh Jacobs, Kenyan Drake also gets a huge boost in overall volume for himself. And I think there's a slight bit of discrepancy when it comes to Kenyan Drake's standalone value, or I guess handcuff value, because we saw last year when Josh Jacobs did miss time, Kenyan Drake wasn't the guy they immediately went to. And I think that was just a sort of weird coaching decision. And I think things will change this year under a new coach. And I do think if anything were to happen to Josh Jacobs, Kenyan Drake would definitely be the biggest beneficiary and should absolutely see an increase in volume. So he's got that standalone weekly value, and he's also got that handcuff sort of value, making him the perfect late round contingent running back. And with that, that concludes my favorite current running back ADP values over on Underdog's best ball tournaments. If you haven't already, check out the QB video. We'll have the link down below, and I'll see you guys next time for some wide receiver ADP values.
How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.